And actually, all right, so here we go. All right, well, welcome everyone. We have a special guest today, Deb Derlak from Clover Park Technical College, and we invited her to talk about Koha because I know a few of you are interested in. I'm really interested, just as a comparison point to Alma and Primo, and just to compare and contrast library platforms. And I sent Deb last night a couple prompting questions to get started with, and I'll share those in chat in a second. And I'm going to go ahead and make you a co-host, Deb. And then you can go ahead and start sharing your screen.
Will do. Sorry, I was just
and I'll let you take
responding
it
to Ryan
myself in a second. And if for those of you on the call, if rather than asking questions out loud, if you'll put them in chat, and I'll watch chat and try to collate those and give them to Deb, because I know myself, I'd like to see a lot of Koha, and so don't want to take away too much from Deb's time with a lot of Q&A that might get answered as she goes through, and I'll stay on the call live and might prompt in with questions, Deb. But,
sure. And I'm sorry, Wade, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm happy to let y'all drive. Like I mean, Wade gave me some sort of bullet pointed questions. I'm happy to just kind of bop through those. But also please interrupt, this is for y'all. So I want to share things that are useful for everyone. And I'm also happy to answer whatever questions you have about why we made this decision, the cost for us, anything, right? So just ask away. Oh, and there they are. So in the chat.
This is being recorded, and we can put some stuff in the meeting notes as well afterwards.
Perfect. All right, well, I'm going to hop over and share my screen. And then if I'm clicking around, because I've got a bunch of tabs open to show you a bunch of different things, if anything is just, if there's stuff you can't see, holler and I'll, address it. So and wait, actually, well, I've got the bullets in front of me too on paper. So now that I'm sharing my screen, I can't see them. But let me move y'all down here. So this is sort of the basic behind the scenes, right? I want to show you something real quick so that you may have seen this. We're working with Bywater Solutions. This is their homepage right here. If you want to just mess around and look at stuff yourself and kind of drive, if you go to their homepage and just scroll on down, you can get a public catalog demo and a staff client demo. It's kind of handy. I used Koha before when I worked in Chicago. That's where I was introduced to it, but moving here and obviously not having access to what I had before in Chicago, as we were making this decision, it was super handy to work with the staff client demo. So please hop on there anytime and just mess around if you're interested at all. So the first thing that, well, let me just kind of start here to sort of show you, this is all customizable. We'll pop over to our catalog after that, but this is the way they helped us to design our catalog. Everyone else's catalog is, there's some basic parameters, which we'll talk about, but it's very customizable, as is some of the staff client. It's they just did it with Clover Park colors, which was lovely. We can change this if we want, but these sort of lists here. This is basically what it looks like. There is space on the left here where you can add your own notes. You can add notes down here. So we just put the link to the catalog down there. So it was easy for folks to access. Some of this is, they left all the training links and all of that. If we wanted to delete that, we could, but you can sort of make good use of this space as you're working together. If you want to, make lists of things you need to accomplish at the end of each quarter, reminders to yourself, all of that. And I can show you where all of this happens. But just to kind of run through what Wade had suggested we look at today, patron records. So I will tell you right now that we have yet to implement the automated patron uploads. We are going to do that hopefully by the end of this month. We just transitioned to CTC Link, and so I promised my IT colleagues that we would do our Koha migration and implementation without them as much as possible, and then we do the other stuff. So so we're about to do that piece, but I'll start with just the search screen, and then I'll show you, I'll pop into a patron record and show you some of the other features in terms of importing patrons. So the basic search up here, as you can see, it starts with patrons. You can also pop over here to check in and renew items. You can also search the catalog directly from here. When we get to the public catalog, I'll show you. One of the things I love about this is when we search the catalog and when patrons search the catalog, it looks very similar, except obviously we see a bunch of stuff that they don't. But if you search from here, I'll just always do me. What I love about this is that patron names just sort of begin to populate as you type. You can sort of type as much as you need and then just grab who you're looking for. So I'm going to grab a couple of records here. So once you get to a patron record, checking out items is the first thing you have access to here. Notes and messages will pop up right here as well. One thing that's different from Alma that I had to remember and that we had to just get used to again is if you are changing the date, you're going to do that first. You don't go back and change the date. You do it in the checkout settings here. And then you can set that for per item, or if you want to sort of change a checkout date because you're giving someone extra time, you can remember it for the entire session if you want. But that's one of the little simple things that I had to remember here. And then the basic screen here shows what folks have out, holds, claims returned, any restrictions, etc. You can see on the left patron details. So I'll click to that and I can show you the editing screen from here. Again, because we just switched to CTC Link, the staff at Bywater were kind to help us replace all of our account numbers, which were old SIDs, with CTC Link numbers. We decided to hang on to those for a second, the old numbers, just in case students can't remember their new number, etc. And we just put it in the initials field because we don't use that. But that gives us the opportunity to just batch delete those as needed if we decide to get rid of that. But this is sort of the basic patron screen. We have the ability to very easily do SMS, which just started working. I just got a text about the item that I have due, which is delightful.
Deb,
we will be,
quick question about SMS. Is that going through a service setup at Clover Park, or is that all on the Bywater side?
It's with Bywater. I can show you the setup for that.
Oh, that's all right. That's right. I was just wondering if you needed a service on your side, on the institutional side.
No, that's with Bywater.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just kind of run through here just a couple of things. Accounting. This is where anything fine and fees related takes place. You can kind of click through. I was messing around with some stuff here. So you can kind of click through transactions and easily waive from here. All of their stuff is, I guess I would say it's sort of table. The setup is tables, right? So it's very easy to see and click through, which I love because you really don't have to sort of find things nested in other areas. The accounting, if patrons have received notices, you can click there to see what they've received so that you can, if someone tells you they didn't get it, you can at least see that it was sent. right? I find that to be a handy feature. So that's pretty easy to find right here. And then up on the top, if I click on edit, I'll just show you the basic patron record here. And you can customize this. So they helped us to, you know, there are some things that we're just not using, but we decided ourselves what we would be working with from the get-go. Again, we're using our CTC link IDs as our card numbers. We have different categories that we created. We have a separate category for our high school students because they have textbooks that they can take out for the quarter, where other people can borrow those just for a week, for instance. Circulation notes, which are private for us, OPAC notes, which if you want to leave a note for someone, if they log into their, sorry, I've got a phone call ringing in my other ear. So
Did anyone else lose audio just now?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
if
it's muted because she's got a call.
am I back?
yeah, you're back. Yeah,
Sorry, it's the phone.
yeah.
Our phone is through Teams and I had a phone call come through. So please just let me know if that happens again. Sorry about that.
And Deb, somebody in
Yep.
chat asked about anonymization of loans and communications with patrons.
Yes. Anonymization of loans. Yes, we took that away. If I'm going to hop over here just so you can see Koha administration is your best friend. This is kind of where all that setup occurs. And I think I can just, I'm not sure if that keyword will pull it up, but you can search everything by keyword here. That is not the case. It might be under circulation. At any rate, you can sort of see how easy it is to search and set various things. We do not see patron circulation history, but we do have it set so that patrons themselves can choose to keep their circulation history or not, right? And so that's a feature we wanted our patrons to have if they would like it, but we do not want to see it, right? That is an important practice. So I'm going to pop back from here just because I don't want to waste your time looking for that. But yes, and the way Bywater handles that, actually, if you're curious, I'm going to hop back here to patrons. You can see how easy it is to just search for individual patrons. You can also search by patron type very easily. So library staff is library staff, all of us super users here. Some Bywater staff, of course, are in here, but this anonymous system account that says do not delete, that's how they deal with anonymization. So on their end, they've got that set up. But for us, we do not see patron circ history, and patrons themselves can choose to do so if they wish. And Wade, what was the other question? I'm going to see if I can pull it from the chat here.
Well, the anonymization of the communications, like if you send SMS to or notices, like can you see the recent notices you send to someone and do those get anonymized after a period of time?
Oh, gotcha.
And then related to that, I would be curious just if you opened up the notices editing screen. Just you don't have to talk just really briefly. Just
sure, absolutely, I can do that. And the question about anonymizing these after a certain time, I actually don't know. I'm sure there's a setting for that. And that there's a, that does happen after a certain amount of time. I just don't know because I haven't looked into that. But for notices, under tools, this is where also we'll find the batch patron deletion and anonymization, batch patron modification, etc. And then here under notices and slips, right there. Let me scroll down. It comes preloaded with a ton. We certainly don't use them all. And when we did training, they helped us really go through these one by one and know what is essential for us to use, what we can ignore if we don't want. Our trainer even deleted some because she was like, I know you're not going to use these. Let's just not clutter this up for you. But let me find, yep.
Yeah, just edit one of them just so we can see
Yep.
that.
Nope, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just scrolling down here to the, let's see. Bear with me for a second. I don't want the hold slip. I want hold available for pickup. So for instance, it's all customizable, and then you just kind of scroll through in terms of what you want to include, right? So borrower's first name, borrower's surname, biblio information, etc. It's just kind of scroll through, click and insert, and then customize as you need. It's very easy to work with from here. I will say that only a handful of these actually have a preview that you can click through and just see exactly what it's going to look like. I cannot remember what the reasoning for that is, but I didn't find that concerning because it's very easy to just see from here. So this is quite easy to click through, find the information that you're looking for, and then customize as you wish. And with the email and also with the SMS, etc. Print slips if you wish. Right, so these are very easy to modify. Was there anything else on that, Wade, that you wanted to see, or anybody else?
No, I'm good. I think that's
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just a quickie in terms of patron modification. I'm going to go back to tools, batch patron modification. So again, this is quite easy to work with here. You can upload a file with card numbers. You can, I'm just gonna, let's see, put myself in there just for one. And then from here, you can edit patrons. So for instance, if we decided we don't want those old SIDs anymore, we can just go from here, and then we can batch delete anything that we want. Or we actually, so I mentioned our high school students, every quarter, at the beginning of the quarter, we get a list from our colleagues in the high school of who all of our high school students are. We can just put in all of their IDs, and we can pop over here to patron category, click high school student, and save, and boom, right? So the batch patron modification is quite easy to work with, which is delightful. Circulation screens. If it's okay, I will pop over to the circ screen. Again, basic from here, I showed you just popping into a patron and circulating from here. What I'm going to do is show you something super handy that they set up for us. If I click on circulation here, this is kind of where it pulls up some of the functions. So holds awaiting pickup, etc. You can go to check out and check in from here. You can also just do it from right on top. What's nice about this, of course, is because it's all web-based. If I wanted to have a patron open, but I also wanted to be able to be doing a couple of things, I can just pull up another tab from here. I'm going to put something on hold for myself because this is actually super handy thing that they set up for us, because we don't have a ton of holds. Oops, search the catalog. We don't have a ton of holds. Laptops from time to time, as you might expect at the beginning of the quarter. But because we don't have a lot of holds, checking the holds queue like every day is just not a habit that folks here have had. So one of the things that they did for us was set something up for us. So I'm going to put this on hold for myself. Oops. I'm going to place that hold. What's one of the things I love, having come from a public library where this was very easy to do in Polaris, and I think impossible, actually, unless they fixed it in Alma at this point, is to move patrons up and down the hold list if need be. And so if there were a couple of other folks listed here, we could just easily click through the priorities. In fact, I can show you that, or you can suspend a hold until a later date. So that's what we're doing with our laptop holds. If I click here, this is the part I love. They set this up for us. They could have set it up as an email as well, that if we had holds to pull, we'd get an email, but they offered to do this for us, and we just love it so much because it's this huge banner that we see And that helps us to just deal with that workflow, right? Because it's not just a natural part of our rhythm, just because we don't have a ton of holds. So the Bywater folks, that is all to say, they're quite helpful in really working through what are our workflows and how could they really help us set that up. I am going to check on, just to show you, since we're talking about holds, I'm going to pull up our student laptops because I think we do have some suspended holds there. Yeah, a bunch. So we've got all of these holds for next quarter. They're suspended until the 27th because that's when we'll have enough cleaned up and we can get ready for the summer and start to actually make them available. And then if we want to, we can just move people easily up and down the hold list, or we can just easily cancel it here with a click. So that's really one of the things that makes our life a ton easier when we're working with laptops in particular, as we all love. But I find that to be a very useful feature. What else would you like to see in terms of circulation features?
Course reserves.
Course reserves,
Anything
yes.
specific, anything specific to course reserves.
Yeah, so I will show you in another, at another library and in the Koha in the Bywater demo, because as you can see here, if we were using course reserves at the moment, it would pop up here in this list. We are not, we will be at some point, but the reason we're not is because we had actually created, using our libguides, a course reserves guide. And so folks can sort of click through here, and then these are now all updated with our records in Koha. So this is currently how we've been managing our course reserves. We will switch over to the course reserves module. So just to show you a few things, I'm going to show you first what it looks like for students. So this is Cornish College of the Arts up in Seattle, their course reserves module. This is one of the things, I use this at Erickson Institute in Chicago, so I'm also quite familiar with how to make it work. One of the things I love about this, again, this is customizable. So if there are columns you don't want to use, you don't have to use them. But you can sort of build this out as much as you want, and it's all easy to sort. So if a student knows the name of their course, that's great. And they can sort of sort it by title. If they just happen to know the name of their teacher, and they're like, I really know, I'm just, oh, it's with Jack. Okay, there's Jack, right? They can sort of sort that way and just click through and then click on a title and get all of the specifics of that title. So that's the student end of things. And then you can see the information there, the term, the department, the course number, etc. I went into Bywater's demo here. Let me find the right one. And I actually added something, but I can show you from here. I think it's going to still be there. And if not, we'll just add another one. So here, oh, nope, it's been wiped, but I will take you in here to Koha administration, and I'm going to hop into reserves. So the user don't use course reserves module is here, or setting is here. I'm just going to set it to use and save it. And then I'm going to hop back over here. And there's course reserves. So I may have to add this department myself. Let me see. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and create an authorized value because, again, the system cleans itself out. So I'm going to add authorized value. I'm just going to call it psychology. Oops. I'm going to call it that. This is what I added earlier today, so it's still in there. And then that for the public catalog and save. So now when you add your departments, and then I'm going to hop back over to course reserves, add a new course. So I can select that. Oops. Add that section if you want, and general psychology. You can set up terms if you just kind of have rolling reserves or just keep things on the shelves like we do. You can choose not to do that, but you would add authorized values for that as well with the category term. Searching for instructors. from here, any notes that you need, and then enabling or disabling, of course, that's what will make it show up in the public catalog. And then clicking from there. And then from here, you just add from your catalog. So you can add them bit by putting in barcodes, or you can batch add, zap in all the barcodes. You can change the item type to course reserve here, just with a click, right? You can change any of the other features here, collection, shelving location, and then submit. What they don't have and what we asked about is any way to sort of, at this moment, they don't have a way to sort of upload all of the courses and instructors, for instance, but that's something, this is one of the beauties of it being open source, right? Folks are constantly suggesting improvements and working on improvements. And that's one of the things that folks are certainly talking about. So that may come in the future. Again, lots of improvements and changes that I've seen since I previously used it in 2016. So, so that may come in the future, but for the time being, it's a little bit of setup on the back end, but it's quite easy to click through and work with. So.
Deb, can you add, do you know, can you add remote resources to reserves, things that aren't in your catalog, like basically electronic resource citations?
Like electronic reserves? That is a great question. Let's see, I think what you would have to do, I think the short answer is yes. But let's see, let me see from here. You might, let's see, certainly Koha integrates with Folio, right? So if you were using Folio, that would be one of the ways that you would enter some of those electronic resources. If you were adding resources that aren't in the catalog, you could fast add something and just create a record for it, and then include the web resource there, or the link, right? So that's a little extra work right now. If you're, like us, we chose not to integrate our electronic resources. This is just for our physical resources. So for us, that would be a little extra work. But if you were using Folio, for instance, and making it more of a discovery system, you could certainly do it that way, since you'd have those records. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to hop out of this one and just log out and hop back over here. Let's see. Cataloging. So I don't do much of our cataloging, but I will kind of click through here to show you. So Colleen, who does our cataloging, she does some with Z3950, and she does some using Quick Connect with OCLC, and then importing those records. I will just click to here. It was working a little bit slow this morning, but hopefully it'll be just fine. But we've kind of got it set up like this. If there are particulars, I'm going to grab something that I actually would like to add to our catalog. And I lost it. It opened up in a separate window here. There we go. Can you see that? Can you see the Z3950? I'm hoping.
No.
You can't. Okay. I think
Oh, wait.
Yeah, it says new from Z3950. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no. But I have another window open. Did that pop up for you?
Oh, no.
Gotcha. Okay. I think I would have to reshare to show you that, which I can if you like. Do you want me to pop out of this share and see if I can grab that? I
Sure.
don't know if it, okay,
Yeah.
I'll see if it'll work. It may or may not. Let's see, let me stop share. It's not going to be anything, I think, that's new to y'all, but just so you can see what it looks like. So you see the Z3950 search. This is how we've set it up. Colleen currently uses these targets, but you can choose from here, and I believe they can help you add to those. And I'm just going to search here. And then kind of pull up from here and decide what, if anything, you can do the mark preview and see what's there, kind of make decisions about which record, if any, you want to pull in. You can actually also do a card preview. And then import as well from here. Right, so Colleen uses this from time to time. Let me pop back into my other.
It's interesting, you don't have to respond to this, but food for thought, the pulling records from something like Seattle Public Library that might have sourced from OCLC might have licensing of those implications for those records. In other words, if Seattle Public Library is on a World Share subscription, that, those things generally say you can't, this is for your use only. So,
right, I'm confident that that's something that Bywater has, right, and the folks who the Koha community are aware of and have worked through, right? I mean, that especially as an open source product and with lots of people with eyes on the back end, right? I'm fairly confident that that's something that they've, which may be why there are only certain things that are available, etc. I don't know. I don't know much about that, and that's a great question. But I'm also confident that there are people thinking about that. So, and just to kind of pop through from here, because I did that search, and then I'm in the cataloging module. So when I searched for cast in the reservoir, it included these records. If I wanted to actually add them, I could go from there. I'm going to show you also just the editor. I'll just go with the default framework. That's not the one I wanted. This is the advanced editor. That is not the one that I wanted. So let me pop back here to cataloging. Right, that's the advanced editor there. So I want to go back here to cataloging and the default. Oh, sorry, folks, I'm not getting what I want here. I'm going to go to, I'll just use Colleen's. Oh dear. My apologies. There is a great, let's see, I'm going to log out and log back in. I don't know why it is defaulting to that, but the editor, the record editor, is actually quite easy to work with. And if you choose to use the advanced framework, oh goodness. My apologies. There is, I don't know why it's defaulting to that. Here, let me pop back into Bywater here and I can show you from here.
Just a more friendly interface to that.
Much more friendly. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know why that's defaulting for me. But, oh, actually, I think I know what I can do. Let me try just for kicks. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. What I like about this editor is that there's tabs that can lead you through the various fields. And so it's quite easy to work with. You can also customize. And so I don't know what's on Colleen's, but she set it up very basically for herself. So she set it up with just the fields that she is just going to use to make it super simple, right? And then if she wants to add to that, if she wants to do something different, she can use the other editor to do that. So, so once you import a record, right, this is what you'll be working with. Is this interface? Let's see. Other cataloging questions that I will do my best to answer.
I saw one button for importing records. Is there something there must be something analogous to like a load profile if you're loading multiple records at once?
Yep, in tools. So I went from the main screen, tools, and then, sorry, I have to move you all because you all are covering it up. Stage, mark records for import. So you can upload files from here, right? And then staged records that are staged for import. you can work with them from here. So you can see where Colleen has been working with records that she's downloaded from OCLC and has imported from here. So yeah, that is all. The tools feature, the tools and the administration features are quite easy to work with. Again, they're kind of labeled here: patrons, catalog, and additional tools. The batch patron modification, if we wanted to upload images or import this import patron. This is, they have a starter CSV that provides all the columns that you could work with. You want to make sure, of course, right, here's exactly how those need to be. Very clear instructions for working with that. Like I said, we are about to begin the process for automating those. And so this is what I'll be using as I provide that data to that information to our applications person in IT, who's then going to be able to pull the data from CTC Link and then get that rolling for us with the Bywater folks. But the patron import feature is there, as well as batch deletions, modifications for items and records, etc. Exporting data. We'll need to do inventory at some point, probably during the summer, right? Staging mark records, etc. Additional tools, our calendar setup is right here, right? And so this is the place to add all of those dates, etc. Let's see. I'm just gonna pretend here. So you click on a date or a date range, right? And then you can add the information that you need for holidays, repeating holidays, etc. That's in the tools. Let's see, system logs, news. This is one of the ways that you can not just manage some of the stuff that I showed you just when you log right into the staff client and you have notes and things like that. That's where you'll manage but this is also where you will manage some of the things that you'll see in the public catalog. So for instance, let me hop over there, if that is all right with you, and I'll show you some of those features. I know we want to get to reporting also, so I will hop back to that. But since we're here in news, so here is our public catalog. They were so great to work with us on customizing it to the way that we would like it to look. You can see if I actually hop over to Cornish College of the Arts, you can see there's some basic features that are kind of the same. There's like columns, and then the central space here, the main space, there's the search bar, and then there's sort of the banner up on the top, right? We've got banner, but it's customized with our logo and various links that we added to that. Here on the right or the left-hand side, we've put our hours and our login information, links to our libguides with the databases, information about borrowing, our chat reference widget on the right-hand side, and then of course the cover flow in the middle. That's an optional feature. We thought it would be great to have. There's a lists feature. I don't think we have any public lists here, but this is something that patrons can do for themselves. So if they want to log in and hang on to something, create their own lists of resources, they can do that. We can also do that. So if Pearl wants to highlight some particular resources in addition to what we're highlighting on our cover flow, we can do that. We can create lists for particular courses, for particular areas, however we want to highlight materials, and just make that all public. The cart feature is actually, yep.
Quick question about the login. Is that integrated with campus authentication?
Yes, it is. We are integrated with Okta. So we're moving as much as possible. Our IT folks are moving to Okta authentication, and so they just set that up for us. So folks who log in to Okta, they actually do the shibboleth, and then it takes us to our Okta page. So let's see, I'm gonna pop back here. And this cart feature, this is pretty handy. You have, if I was working with something in the catalog and I wanted to just sort of create a temporary list of materials and maybe put holds on them, or at least just kind of keep track of that. I can select materials from here and I can just add them to my cart. And then I can click to that and I can, I can print a list out. If I'm logged in, I can send it to librarians and say, hey, I want to put these things on hold. That's kind of a handy feature. It's also handy on the staff side. I've used the cart feature to just, as I've been cleaning up things and we've been working with records that are just old and messy, right? It's been really useful, I think, to use that cart feature when I'm on the staff side so that I can just easily print out and find that material. And so that's on the staff side as well. You can choose not to do that. Some people don't do the cart because they think it's confusing. We decided to keep it for now. You can rename it if cart sounds weird, right? So it's all nice and customizable. And again, these features here, including down on the bottom, our footer with our information, that is all, much of it. Some of it is customizable in the administration end, just when you kind of click through all the OPAC stuff. I hate the term OPAC, but that's what they use officially. So, and some of it is from here. So you can preview, for instance, anything that says OPAC. That's the library catalog. Text up here, I can change that if I wanted to, but that's what that is. When we update our cover flow, that one is, I think, this main user block, which you can click preview and see what's there. And then some of this is for us, for the librarian interface, as they call it, etc. So this is a very easy to manipulate, just with the public catalog. Really, a lot of these changes we can go ahead and make ourselves. A couple of them, like I wasn't able to add our logo. There might be one other small feature that we can't do, but all of these, I can change these links. If I pop in here into the administration and I look for the OPAC system preferences and kind of scroll down through all of these, there's a lot of them, so I won't mess with it too much. But if I scroll down, there's places where I can update those links, etc. So it's pretty quick and easy to work with there. Let's see, I definitely want to get to reporting. So I will pop over to that, unless there's other questions that you have about the public catalog. The cover flow is really easy to work with too. You create lists, and then when you, just trying to move stuff around here on my screen, and then when you click on the list, up in the link on the top, there's just the number of the list, and then that is actually a report that they created for us. So I will click into the reports. That's one of the ones where.
Deb, there were a couple questions about the OPAC.
Yeah.
Is it hosted? And I think the answer there is yes.
Yeah.
Do you have SFTP access to upload, I don't know, customization files or CSS files? And then is there a preview or a sandbox version of the OPAC that you can kind of get right before you move it to production?
There, when we were going through our migration and training and implementation, yes. Moving it to, there's really at this point not a sandbox that we would use if we wanted to kind of see how things looked. There are, let's see, in terms of CSS and things like that, I think those are one of the few things that we would create tickets for, and then work with the Bywater folks on. Although I think there is some, I'm clicking back into here to see, there is a lot that we can work with. Let me see. Plugins. There might be some plugins that are connected to that. There's the theme plugin, for instance, and so I think we can configure. We can make some changes to that if we so chose. I am not going to. from here, but there are things that we can certainly access and make changes to from here. Otherwise, some of those, and again, just a few would be things that I would just reach out to Bywater. And the folks who do their support are really, they're really supportive, and they're really great to work with. And so Lucas, who's the person who's been working with us on our catalog and on some other features, he's like really fast and responsive. So any changes that we made have happened very quickly. So yeah, no sandbox, unfortunately, once you're live. But you can, if you're making changes, it's kind of just like I make changes on our website as well, not just the LibGuides, but the college website. And so just, I can preview them, but if I need to go back and make a change, if I've made a mistake, it's really fast and easy to do that. So let's see, were there other questions in the chat that I missed about that? Yes, and it is hosted. SFTP, yes. Currently, as I mentioned, we're working on patron uploads, and so we'll be doing that through SFTP. None of the things that we do with our OPAC, although they could. That is a great question. That could be something that we would make use of when we're making some of these changes. Otherwise, it's all through the ticketing system, so I can upload things there, and they can work with us on those changes from there. Let's see.
Yeah, there were the back up earlier in the chat that I kind of responded to already was question about ERM functionality, electronic resources, and I don't know if you guys have looked at Coral. I mentioned Coral as the kind of offering from Bywater that's the closest thing to Alma community zone package activation stuff.
Mm-hmm. And Folio, it also integrates with Folio. So yeah, that's not something we have looked into at this point in terms of cost and functionality. I really can't speak to that. But I do know one of the nice things about Bywater is that they have a lot of information on their website, a lot of Q&A, a lot of demos, all of that. And so you might be able to find some of that information just here on their website.
Yeah, and I would say for a smaller platform like Koha, the general path there would be to use a platform like Folio or Summon that's electronic only, activate your collections there, and then integrate your local catalog into that. So it's sort of the reverse of the Alma model.
Mm-hmm.
That would generally be, I think, how if I were on Koha anyways, that's what I would think about. It's getting Summon and making that discoverable. And that's kind of Tacoma TCC's model, where they have Summon in front, and they have Summon in front of Cersei Dynix Horizon, which they use as kind of a simpler ILS, and then they manage their electronic. So that's just anyways, I'll shut up. Oh, the circulation question, is there offline circulation for power?
Yes, there is offline circulation. We had to use
just to mention, Deb, we've got about 5 minutes left.
Yep.
So I mean, like after the offline function, if you go into after you respond to that, just go into the reporting and we'll finish up on that. And and maybe at the top of the hour, I don't know if there's been a couple of chat questions about cost.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted to talk about, I would stop recording, and if there's like after the hour, if you have a couple minutes, if there's anybody that wants to hear about that, if there's anything you can say, and certainly not.
Sure, I'm happy to. Yeah,
okay,
happy to.
Great, we'll do that.
And I'll just quickly click into reports. Reports are SQL based. There are a lot of presets, and then you can really build your own with a lot of help from the Koha community. So statistics wizards here that are pretty easy to just click through to get the information that you're looking for. A lot of saved reports. There's a guided report feature, so you can kind of work through just sort of choosing the categories that you need, grabbing from the database schema and just populating into here. I'm not going to walk through that just for the sake of time, just to kind of show you some of the other features here. You can create from scratch if that's your jam. You can also use saved reports. And again, it comes pre-populated with a lot of stuff. And you can sort of narrow it down by category if you wish. I am just going to kind of show you.
Do they
Let's
have a
see.
purpose-built iPads report by any chance? Do they try
You
to
know
keep
what?
up with iPads?
I don't know. That's a great question. And but they would totally work with us on that if that's, no, that's actually something that I think Pearl would would love to have them work on. So I don't think so, but that's really a great question. I'm going to pop over to just the last page here, just to kind of show you. I was messing with a bunch of stuff. I'm going to go to the next page here. One of the things that I asked. Oh, did you lose me, or can you hear me?
Can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, good. I just got another phone call. So, so a lot of reports that that come and that you can customize. I had asked if we could, if they could help us create a report of items checked out by patron type and item type. So, for instance, if I wanted to know how many students have laptops, I can, oops, I could just click through that and run the report. And then if I'm working on a report, right, I can edit from here. Notice here on the left, the report library and the database schema. So I know this much SQL from library school many, many years ago. I know what some of these things mean. That's about it, right? But there's a great report library that you can click through here, separated by patron circulation, just kind of in general here. And I often even just Google reports and I'm just kind of brought to this, but you can come and you can grab whatever it is that you're looking for here and then find something to work with and then just copy and paste and adjust as needed. I found that useful many years ago when I was at Ericsson in Chicago. I've been doing a lot of that here as I've been working with reports. Colleen has some reports that she needs specifically for her own Perkins reporting and all of that. And she's put in a number of tickets to get some help with that. And they've been very generous about, helping tweak things, et cetera. So again, if this is, if SQL is your jam, that's where it's at, but it's definitely very easy to work through with the saved reports, with the reports library that's being added to all the time. And then with sort of questions from there within the community or with Bywater. There is another, I'm forgetting what it's called, so I'm not gonna, let me see if I can find it. There is another, Humana KB. There's another way to kind of work through reports with a knowledge base. We have not been using that, but that is something that's new and another way to find and create and share reports. So just another piece of that open source community and how folks interact with each other. There is lots of documentation for Koha. There's always, let's see, the Koha manual is updated on the regular, and it's just a searchable document on the web. You can sort of come to that through the Koha community. And so, again, because it's open source, it's just all out there and folks are constantly engaged in improving it. The listserv, community questions, all of that. I'm going to stop because I know we just have a few minutes here. And I do want to answer your questions about cost. And yes, and so yeah, there is an offline function. We actually had to use that a few weeks ago because Bywater had an issue and they got that fixed within a few hours, but we were able to download and use their offline circulation feature, which is quite easy to use. So, so question about costs.
Oh,
so
okay, let me wait.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me stop recording first.
You bet.